Hi there. Let's talk about the battery modification for the OMX 27. So as is, we've got USB power over here, and you can add an optional lipo battery like this guy via this battery port that's right here on the main board. This battery uses a JST SH connector, which is a tiny version of this battery connector. Most LiPo batteries from Adafruit and that sort of thing have a pH connector, which is much larger. So this one is fairly specific. I have links to sources for this one. Is made by Tiny Circuits, and I have links to DigiKey and Mauser, or directly from Tiny Circuits. Links to purchase those from Github on the build guide. And if you've got questions about that, let me know. If you want to use your own battery or different battery, you can solder that directly to the board via the connectors here on the bottom. And just note that it says red plus, and there's a polarity there. If you've got the chalk build, you can take the whole top plate off and solder it to the top, or solder the wires to the top and sort of route it around there if you want. But the easiest way is to use this one from Tiny Circuits. This one is a 290 milliamp hour battery. The numbers on it are like 55, 23, 25, so that's a 23 by 25 millimeter battery. This one is nice because it fits pretty nicely up here on the board, and we've made a little battery box for it, 3D printable kind of thing. So we can make this little box like this with some heat set inserts, and that can attach over here as a little compartment for the battery. Some folks may want to DIY this differently and mount the battery up here, or make another little stand for it or something, or put the battery out to the side. I'm going to leave that up to you if you want. This is my quick solution as sort of an option. There wasn't really a better way to sort of incorporate the battery into the unit just as it goes, but it felt like an option here. The quickest way would be like have something 3D printed by the battery. You can't just kind of stick that on there with a piece of tape as the sort of easiest way to do things. So if we're going to assemble this with the battery box here, I'm going to take apart the protector PCB, just unscrew these guys and get that protector out of the way. This will sort of not, or make the USB port maybe a little more susceptible to damage because this little battery box is not going to have the same sort of strength to protect your USB as the little PCB here does. But it's something that'll get the job done. The edge of the box here may help a little bit for that, I think. So we'll see. Okay, so we've got the battery here. You can see the port inside. Another thing, if you end up with a third-party battery, just to be aware of, and if you don't get the one from Tiny Circuits, the red wire goes to the left on this connector. So hopefully that's easy enough to see at this view. But again, the red wire, positive wire, is going to go to the left side of the keyboard. The black wire goes towards the USB side. Try to make this hole big enough, but you can just sort of get the connector in there, and then if you use a pair of tweezers or your fingernail, you can sort of get the thing to stick in there. So I left the power switch on, so as soon as I plugged the battery in, it made the power go. You can switch the power switch off over here on the edge if you want to when you do that, but easy enough to sort of get the connector in there, and then get your fingernail in there and snug it, or use a little end of some tweezers or the point of some tweezers. Just make sure you don't scratch the PCB or stick your don't short the connectors with your tweezers. So once this is here, we're going to sort of figure out where to position it. And in this case, it's going to fit into this box. This is 3D printed, sort of a test version. We've got models of this with a little L shape that covers up over here, or just this box version. Once you've got this in position, you could sort of just get maybe sideways in here and see how the battery fits inside it. And if I do this, you can kind of see it should fit sort of within the space there of the box. And then make sure that your box is positioned so that center guy is actually on the bottom. I had that backwards, so let's get that one that's in the middle. This is your top right corner. It's going to go there. So I'm going to reposition this again in the box, and then just sort of drop it in. And that should just sit right there. Then you're going to reuse those same screws you had from the protector plate, and just screw those into those captive heat set inserts from the bottom. So when you do this, make sure you look inside the hole, see if you can see that little brass guy. Make sure you don't try to screw into the battery itself, because that would probably go very poorly. You get one of them in there. Again, you don't have to do these really tight. You just making it so that box doesn't flop around on top. If you do the top corner, you can sort of move this back and forth. And again, you can sort of look inside the hole if you've got a nice bright light and see that there's nothing obstructing it. And get that screw in there. And we'll tighten that up a little bit. And just again, finger tight. Doesn't have to be tight, tight. And hey, boom, you got a battery box. That's it. And we can turn that on, and everything works as we expect. Battery mod. There you go.